Do small scale figures deserve a second chance? M.A.S.K Dino Riders, Air Raiders, Battle Beasts, Transformers Micro Masters, Starcom.
100%.
Yep, kind of on the fence.
Well, you're young and stupid, so.
We need Dino Riders, people. We need Dino Riders. Get on it, Mattel.
Oh, cool. Dude, that looks like the car from the movie in the 70s, man. What is that?
Yeah, exactly. It is a Hot Wheels Key Force. So this is something that we came across a couple days ago. Thought it was kind of neat. So let me kind of show off what exactly this does. So you have this little key here in the back, and there's a slot here that you can slide it into. If you turn it to the left, those doors pop open with these nice little guns there.
Cool.
Turn it to the right.
Oh, man.
This flips up. You also have this piece in the front that flips down. So some more weaponry here. This flips up. And so not only does the key open the back, the key will also allow you to turn this turret around some. And then there is an extra key underneath. So now you have two keys. So now not only can you turn the turret around, there's a spot in the side where you can
fire the turret.
Fire the
while
turret.
You're turning it.
Yes.
How cool is that? That's pretty nifty.
Yeah, so it's a neat little toy. So it got us thinking that Kelly was working on these in the back and thought they were really neat. He wasn't interested in buying them because there are no little dudes, as Kelly likes to put it.
By the time you put this guy out, you can put 4 dudes in the same space. 4 little dudes.
So it's obviously pretty reminiscent of M.A.S.K, you know, from the mid 80s.
Yeah.
These are a little bit later in the early 90s, but they don't have any small figures that go along with them like the M.A.S.K stuff did. What other lines in the 80s had those small pieces, those small scale figures? And why aren't those figures around now? Kind of got us thinking. And so we're going to have a chat. All right, so Kelly, when we were talking about Key Force, you were asking, why aren't there any
Little dudes.
with this thing? You thought this was really cool, but that it needed something extra. It needed some
Little dudes.
So here's an entire selection of other little dudes. So when we were talking about Key Force, we were thinking it was clearly inspired by our first item here, which is M.A.S.K. M.A.S.K is pretty classic, iconic. I think most people have probably seen what this is. This character here is the iconic Matt Tracker. This is the Thunderhawk, again, kind of the most classic, quintessential M.A.S.K vehicle. I think most toy collectors, whether you had M.A.S.K or not, recognize what this vehicle is. So we also have Dino Riders. These 4 figures up here are our representation from that. So these figures came with large dinosaurs that were kitted out with armor and weapons and such. We don't have any of the dinosaurs here in the shop, but we do have the Brontosaurus here in the store if you want to come and check it out. We also have Air Raiders, a personal favorite of mine from 1987. This line only went 1 year. This here is the Wind Seeker, which is available here in the store. Then we have Battle Beasts, which are here. These 2 guys in the front. I think, again, most toy collectors are probably familiar with Battle Beast. This is the Transformers Micro Masters. This is an example of that. This particular vehicle is Hot House. So as you can see right now, it's in tank form. It will actually transform into this fire station.
Hot House.
Yes, Hot House. We have Starcom. Again, the same kind of thing. You can see sort of the large size of the vehicle that we've got with Starcom here. This is a smaller vehicle. Some of the vehicles and playsets were motorized. This is, again, an example of what the figure looks like. Now that I've been rambling for a long time about all of this stuff, tell me, what do we think of small scale figures?
Personally, I feel like this is more of an ideal scale than your larger stuff, your 7 to 8 inch, 6 to 8 inch scale figures. I personally prefer this. 1, you can get vehicles. 2, you can get play sets. 3, takes up a lot less space. So I'm confused as to why majority of toy collectors and toy companies have shifted gears. I understand for certain reasons, which I'm sure we'll touch on, but I actually like the micro and mini scale like this.
Liam, what about you?
I think it makes sense for vehicle, but growing up as a Power Ranger kid, as you know, I was more into 6-inch figures. It's just more of what I had growing up. And to me, just as a kid, it was more fun to play with. But the smaller stuff was cool because, like you said, you were able to get vehicle and play sets that a lot of companies, especially modern, never started to. They kind of stopped doing that in the 80s and 90s, doing the larger play sets, which we had kind of touched on with the Starcom video. I mean, they're cool. I get it. You can also put more detail into the toys themselves, but I just like larger figures.
I love the small stuff. Like, I collect M.A.S.K. I have the whole collection minus 4 things. I also have a few of the Vortec. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Vortec is like the second generation of M.A.S.K, sort of.
And then they have a third, the Shadow Strikers.
Right, which is, the figures are they're the same height, they're slightly bigger builds, so they don't quite match up exactly to those figures, but the vehicles are the same size, same kind of thing, they transform. But yeah, I love small stuff. Like, there's not a 6-inch modern anything that I own. The biggest things that I have are Motu figures. Vintage Motu figures.
Some G1 Transformers when they're in robot mode and all that kind of stuff.
They're all over the place.
Turtle Sprite counts as, I guess, larger.
Well,
I mean, they're like 4 or 5 inch, right?
I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons why these are almost non-available on your modern day toy market, which is really unfortunate, but I can understand the appeal of them when you're looking at the perspective of a kid back in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s. The reason why these don't really exist any longer on the market, to me, is because pretty much everybody that grew up with this scale is now, in their 40s, 50s, sometimes early 60s, and they're the ones that are still collecting toys and have the expendable. I mean, I'm a rare case. I'm about to be 29 years old and I collect toys, but most 29-year-olds or people younger than me, you don't collect toys anymore. You did at one time, but that's not something that you're into right now. How many people your age are still collecting toys?
Yeah.
If you look at it from that perspective, everybody that played with this scale was smaller, and these seemed larger than they are now. So what do they want when they grow up? They want the G.I. Joe Classifieds. They want the Star Wars Black Series. They want the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. They want the Marvel Legends. They want the DC figures from McFarlane, all that kind of stuff. You can get a lot more posability. You can get a lot more detail. A lot of those lines, not a lot, but especially with Marvel and DC, like I can see where you don't necessarily need a vehicle or a playset for a lot of those characters. So I do think it depends on the line that you're talking about or the specific property that you're talking about. That kind of makes it seem,
Yeah, Marvel Legends, 6-inch Marvel Legends make way more sense than 6-inch G.I. Joes to me.
Yeah, 100%.
Because with small scale, you can do world building, which is, they weren't trying to sell this. They were trying to sell this.
Right. So I think that's where
more bang for your buck from companies like Kenner, Hasbro, Hasbro, Tyco, Mattel, all these companies reached out into this market and they capitalized on it.
Yeah, if you want a vehicle for 6-inch classified G.I. Joes, you have to spend hundreds of dollars to get something, and it's going to be this big.
Yeah, so I think it's worth talking about sort of that flip in the toy market, that at this period of time, this was what you were trying to sell as a toy company. You weren't necessarily trying to sell this. This was great. You were going to get some money from this, but this is where you were making your money as a toy company. And now that is completely flipped. You can't sell, 6-inch scale playsets or vehicles for G.I. Joe or for Marvel Legends or something like that without doing like a HasLab or a crowdfund. Think about something like Super 7 with all of the Thundercat stuff, the Thunder Tank and the Cat's Lair. You think about Mythic Legions with the Dragon. Think about even like Mattel and Motu with the Eternia playset, which we also have here if you want to take a look at that. It's in the shipper box, so I don't know how great of a look you'll get at it, but we do have it. But all of those things were like crowdsourced. There's no store on the planet now that's going to actually spend the shelf space to put something that large into their store. So it's interesting to me how that market is completely flipped and that how now the focus is on the figures versus the focus being on the vehicles and the place.
Well, going back to what what I was mentioning about the age group that's primarily collecting, a lot of people, 35 and under have completely phased out of physical toys. It's all about electronics, it's all about video games, things of that nature. And the people that are spending the money on toys now that played with this stuff as a kid, they are more geared towards the articulation and detail because that is an adult's form of playing with toys. As a kid back in the 80s, late 70s, 80s, early 90s, whatever, era of toys that you want to use, as a kid, this wasn't what you had for playability. That's what you had for playability. This had all the features that you wanted on it. Let's go back to talk about Kenner Star Wars. Like all the play sets that were involved in that. The Death Star, you had the 5 POA, horrible. As far as like toys go, they're horrible toys.
Yeah.
Like you cannot convince me that they are great toys. You just can't. Because compared to what is in today's market, they are bad toys. But they are nostalgic and they are sentimental. But for those people that are collecting in today's market, don't want to spend the possibly $200 on that one 3 3/4 figure, they've shifted focus to a Black Series figure that they can get for $15 and they can have it on their shelf, they can move it around, they can display it however they want, and they set it up possibly until they sell the figure or box the figure up, get rid of the figure, whatever. That's how they play with the toys. They don't necessarily want the vehicles and play sets because they take up too much space for that scale.
A lot of it has to do with price too. So,
Yeah, it's double-sided coin.
Well, so it's a lot cheaper to tool a figure and make a figure than to design a vehicle of some sort. How much was the ramen thing that you bought?
Considerable.
Yeah. This thing probably cost $10 brand new. It's probably gonna be between 10 and 15 bucks. My guess would be 10. Now that's a vintage one, so that's gonna be pricey because it's old. But, back in the day, they've tooled that thing out and you could sell it for $10, 15 bucks. That thing you bought is the exact same toy as that. It was over $100, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but that also shows one of my other points is that there is still a market for people who still want vehicles and play sets.
Well, it was
sure.
a crowd thing, like you said.
That's the other thing. Like clearly there's a market for it.
But just from a company's perspective, it's going to be cheaper just to make a bunch of these guys than Dragonfly.
Without a doubt.
Or
I think it's a
Rattler.
space
So-
thing for collectors too nowadays. That's a big thing. Is a lot of people might not have the space in their houses to be able to have large collections like that, especially if you have family and
that's where this comes in.
Exactly. So it makes more sense for collectors now to want to revert because it's nostalgic, but it also space-wise makes more sense to have smaller figures.
Well,
My whole M.A.S.K collection is in a shelf that's the size of this,
exactly. Like
except for the Boulder Hill. But the whole thing is in a shelf that takes up this much.
with the allotment of space that people have now, the housing market is completely just tilted on its head. So you have people that are primarily renting rather than actually buying homes. You have people that are living in apartments more so than they are in traditional housing, depending, obviously that, circumstances can toss that up, family houses and all that kind of stuff. But as the space changes, the size of your collection and or the collectibles themselves are going to naturally change with it. And that's why the people that still want that 6 to 8 inch market of things only do the figures, and that's why the companies only do the figures, except for those special people that would like to invest in the larger pieces.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that I have been on the side of the people that do enjoy the larger scale figures, but that's only because I can see where they're coming from to an extent.
It's mostly posability.
But I actually prefer this scale. This is more of my speed. This is the stuff that I like to play with. This is the stuff that I like to look at and display. I prefer 3 3/4 and smaller, primarily because I like vehicles and play sets. But for some reason, it speaks to me more so than a larger scale figure does. I don't actively play with my stuff. I display it on a shelf and it looks like a museum, because that's how I like to look at things. That's how I enjoy my collection. So, I don't have a lot of modern toys to speak on. I've had a lot of modern toys, and I play with modern toys in here every day. That's what I do for my living. That's what I do for a job. That's what we all do here.
So why do we think that modern collectors aren't necessarily looking for this type of scale? Especially talking about some of like the pros and cons that we've talked about. Obviously, the biggest con probably is the articulation, like we've mentioned.
That's what I was gonna say.
The biggest pro, however, is like Kelly was mentioning, he's got an entire collection, an entire line in a very small space. So why do we think it is, especially since we know that there's interest in playsets of vehicles because HasLabs and crowdfunding things work, but why is the focus still on the larger size characters versus shifting back into something this size to allow you a lot more expansiveness in a line, to save a lot of space in your
you gotta
your
go
house.
backwards. You gotta go vintage to do that.
Yeah.
And some of this stuff ain't cheap.
Yeah, vintage toys are expensive, and
So you gotta go backwards, and you're gonna spend more money that way. And they just don't make anything small now.
what it boils down to is the articulation and detail. That's really essentially what it is. Somebody could spend, like I was saying earlier, $200 to get that figure they were playing with as a 6-year-old, or they could spend $15 to get the more accurate looking and feeling version of that character.
I mean, that's certainly how I was. Like the retro Star Wars stuff is what I kind of found myself gravitating towards because they're perfect representations of those vintage molds. The paint is fantastic. It's the best condition you're ever going to find any of those figures. And it's $15 instead of $200 or
yeah,
what
the price point's definitely appealing for stuff like that. But it was still in a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Because that's what you enjoy. That's what you like.
So there are some modern companies that are doing stuff in smaller scale. We talked about it in the last video, the Glyos system. There's a lot of different companies that utilize that.
Yeah.
Onell Design uses that. And that also goes back into some of the modularity like we were talking about in the last video. So there is a desire out there. Do we think that the reason why there aren't any large companies that are like Hasbro or Mattel or anyone else who's producing this scale, is it because of the tooling issue like Kelly mentioned? Or do we think there's even more behind it? Do they not think that adult collectors would be into a smaller scale? I mean, tell me what you guys think about that.
I think there's a pretty comical example that I could probably bring up. Mattel owns the rights to Dino Riders. Dino Riders is an incredibly expensive toy line. It is very hard to find anything complete. You hardly ever run across anything that's not broken and or working electronics. Mattel put out a very small pack for Dino Riders. I want to say probably 2019-ish in stores.
Oh, those color things?
So you had two colors. One of the factions was green, one of the factions was purple.
They were basically army men.
Yeah, so they were army men, essentially, and they were micro scale. They were very tiny. They're actually neat for what they are, but they put that out, I'm assuming, as a test in the market to see, will people buy Dino Riders again? And nobody bought that set. It was clearanced everywhere. It got shipped out to stores like Ollie's and things of that nature because nobody wanted the thing. A Ross, TJ Maxx or whatever, got shipped out to all these stores because nobody wanted to buy them. You gave us something that wasn't Dino Riders, and you expected us to purchase that set as if it were the same, testing the market for what? I think that there is a market. There's definitely a market for it. People want it. Yeah. It's just that companies are so afraid to not make enough money on it. It's not that they're afraid to lose money because they're not going to. Like, period, I don't think that's even possible. Yeah. It's just that they're not going to make enough money.
So Kelly, what have you brought us here?
So, I know this isn't the same scale as these, but, this is Beachhead from 1986.
Correct.
And this is your classified Beachhead. Cool figure. It's neat. Obviously it looks better than this, but no thank you.
However, the modern toy market is giving you this, and they're not giving you that.
But I think nostalgia plays into why you also like that one more, no?
I think nostalgia plays into all of it regardless. Clearly toy companies are casting in on.
This is the best toy line that's ever existed, in my opinion. But just the size. It's just, by the time you put this guy out, you can put 4 dudes in the same space. 4 little dudes.
I'm not a G.I. Joe guy. I loved it as a kid. I have no personal affinity for it now. And in my, I would say, more knowledge-based opinion rather than biasy, I also think G.I. Joe is the best toy line that's ever existed because of what they were able to accomplish at the time that they did it in.
Yeah.
That's unprecedented.
I'm not into it at all, but I agree with that because of the scale. Like, how many figures were in the original line? Hundreds?
82 to 94, buddy.
Yeah.
400.
Exactly. And the amount of vehicles, play sets that they were able to do, like,
Incredible.
Nothing could touch that.
Incredible. And you think about G.I. Joe back in the 80s and early 90s without those vehicles and play sets. What would that toy line be?
It would have been nothing.
It would nothing. What would that be? So like the classifieds, although they're nice looking and they articulate well, you can get great poses out of them. Figure photography has become a very large thing, which again is another reason why people are geared more towards the articulated and detailed figures.
But you don't have a lot of the classic vehicles.
But you don't have the classic vehicles, you don't have the play sets. You can't
And when you do,
create
they're that size.
Yeah, I mean
doesn't make any
they're massive, they're gigantic, they're beautiful, but
They're very expensive.
they're very expensive in the amount of space that they take up.
Like, imagine if they did a whale. Like,
It'd be about the size of this table, yeah.
a bathtub.
That would
Massive, and it costs $800.
that would be pretty cool.
It would be cool to put in your bathtub or the pool, but like, it's
That would be. Or what about a flag?
I mean, what, the size of your car?
Like it would be bigger than that, dude. Imagine a flag the length of our store.
See, now I imagine.
Somebody get on that.
Yeah.
3D print that.
Hasbro, give us a call. All right, so there is one very clear company that we are not discussing in any of this that has an incredibly long track record of doing small scale figures, expansive lines with tons of different like vehicles and play sets. And that is, of course, Lego. Now, this particularly is an older set, but it's a Star Wars set. They have kind of cornered the market, I think, in doing stuff at sort of like a smaller mini scale. And clearly it's popular. Lego, I don't know that Lego has ever been more popular than it is right now.
Oh, I'm well aware. I collect a lot of it.
Yes. And so like this is what they do. This is what they're known for, and they're super successful at it. So this is a company, now granted, they have an incredibly long track record of doing this. It's been their entire line since their inception. But they've got an incredibly long track record of doing this, and they
Actually,
can show.
they started making wooden toys.
All right, cool. So they, I'm just glad it's not me for once being the actually guy. They've shown that you can do stuff at this scale. I mean, they've kind of turned into a licensed machine now. Like all they do for the most part, I feel like, is licensed product, which is, kind of hit or miss.
Well, I mean,
looking at.
Star Wars single-handedly saved their company.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not saying it was a bad idea. Clearly, it's working for them.
Giving explanation as to why.
The way they're marketed, the way they're bought, they're doing the same thing that this stuff was doing. Like, of course everybody likes this, but I mean, what percentage of people that buy Lego are doing it for the figures? A lot.
A lot.
So they're basically doing the same thing that these were doing. Like, here's a TIE Fighter, but these are the two dudes that you're really wanting, especially more nowadays. Not these old ones so much.
The Lego community is pretty much split 50-50.
Yeah.
From what I understand, at least being part of that community myself, is that the 50% that collect it for the minifigures, which is what I do, are the very die-hard Lego fans. Like they have a very niche specific thing that they search for. Whereas the people that are more in it for the builds are the casual fans, like the ones that they're not completionists, they don't go for everything, or they have no formal opinion on specific lines, whether it be ideas, creator, Star Wars, Ninjago, whatever. They are the ones that primarily do it for the builds, at least in my experience, and it's pretty much split 50-50. But minifigs play a big role.
Right, well, I mean, then the company's aware of that. So like the Daily Bugle, expensive set, super, super cool set, but how many figures are in there?
There's
25?
There's probably
30?
27, 28, yeah.
So in order
Something like
to
that.
ensure that thing was going to get bought, they put that amount of minifigures in it.
It's a large set.
They could have just put 10 in there easily.
Oh, so this is
But they were like,
good,
no, we're going to do 30. That way everybody's going to buy this thing because it's expensive.
This is a good thing to point out when it comes to how important minifigures are in this specific market. Lego bought the second-hand market for Lego. Bricklink was purchased by Lego, which means they get a cut of every second and third and fourth hand sale that is made on every single Lego product from that website. They're making money after after they sell it to you brand new on the store shelves, what is mostly sold on Bricklink?
The minifigs.
Minifigures. Minifigures are mostly sold on Bricklink.
Yeah, minifigs and custom stuff.
And I mean, yes and no, but minifigures are the primary thing that sells. And it's not that they sell necessarily the most in number, because obviously any piece is going to sell, 1,000 times in a year, right? Thousands of times in a year. But minifigures are going to get you that $100, $200, $300 per purchase that is made on that website. Per figure. What piece is going to draw that count?
Well, and they're making those, what are the little mini stupid chips?
Like the little the micro builds.
Yeah, that are not scale to anything.
And they just come with a minifigure.
They're making that, what, $10, $15?
Yeah.
It's this goofy little weird, being X-Wing and it's this
Or the
big.
$15 to $20 mechs.
Yeah, it's this big and all you're doing, you don't care anything about that. You're buying it to get that minifigure.
I have been guilty of it. They released a Darth Vader minifigure that had full printing, arm printing and everything inside of a mech, I believe it was. And I bought the mech just because I could, I think it went on sale for like $10. And I bought the mech for $10 just so I could have that really nice looking Darth Vader. And I put the mech pieces in parts.
Right.
I just put those in a parts bin.
The modern success of Lego, I think, is the reason modern companies don't try to do any of this.
They're afraid they can't compete with Lego.
Competition is
I think that they're just, anybody's like, Lego, we can't touch it. We can't get there. Like, it doesn't make sense.
So Loyal Subject is doing these again. And they're not crazy, they're basically making this again. And it's cheaper than a vintage one, more expensive than that was when it was brand new.
by a significant margin.
Right. So, and that's a small company, so they're not just...
Even if you count
They're
for
not making
inflation.
tons of them. You're not going to find them at Target, Walmart, stuff like that. But they have been selling well. So is that...
Well, loyal subjects.
Is that just M.A.S.K people, or is it people, probably, or is it people like, oh, this is cool, this is small, whatever. So it can be done, and it is being done, but on the scale that this was, it's not even close.
Well, even if you account for inflation, it's still more expensive by a significant margin.
Yeah, for sure.
So you take that $10 in 1985, and what is that now?
Times 3-ish.
$30, $32 or something like that. Well, when you go and buy that thing for 50, 60, that plays a big role in people's minds and their wallets.
Right.
Do you think smaller scale figures would work better in a line that is wholly dedicated to just that scale? Or do you think this scale would work in a licensed type of scenario, like Lego does with Star Wars or Harry Potter or all the other different things? Like, is there space in the market for this scale in Marvel? Is there space in the market for this scale in G.I. Joe? Or would it work better as its own defined line like these were? Like, Dino Riders were just this scale. M.A.S.K was just this
Talking
scale.
about a brand new toy line?
Yeah.
They don't do that. So...
Well, let's pretend that they...
Would it work better? Maybe, but nobody does that. So, I mean, you have to have like Mythic Legions or something. I mean, everybody just recycles everything.
Bringing up Mythic Legions is actually a really good thing, because Mythic Legions, when they were first developing that toy line, it was supposed to be 3 3/4. That was supposed to be a 3 3/4 line, and they read the writing on the walls, and they had a very big problem in developing a 3 3/4 line because people weren't wanting to invest in it.
Well, and they had actually messed with the Glio system themselves, hadn't they? I thought Four Horsemen also had done something like in that same sort of system.
I think that they helped
Early
sculpt
on.
a line.
Okay.
I do think that they helped sculpt a line.
Well, I mean, they did those alien things.
Well, I mean, they have a lot of history in the larger scale stuff, though.
But they did do those alien things, which were this big. They didn't sell very well.
This is what I was told by some people that work for Four Horsemen. Yeah. They tested the market and it did not test well. And people were like, give us this in 7-inch or 6-inch and then we'll talk.
Interesting.
And they were like, well, I guess we have our answer, because a lot of them wanted to do the 3 3/4 scale. And so, I mean, that's just where the market is nowadays, is the larger scale stuff.
To answer your question, a whole line of small stuff, I think that would probably do good, but you have to have something from it to come from.
Yeah.
Cartoon, a movie, something. And nobody does anything original anymore.
And
So it's just... You know, there's
that.
no media that would support anything brand new.
Part of that might be due to who they're catering to in the market.
Oh,
the,
yeah, for
the
sure.
age group.
Older people now.
Are you more apt to buy something that is related to something you watched as a kid? Or are you more apt to buy something that has been recently introduced into the toy market?
All right, so do small scale figures deserve a second chance?
100%.
Yep,
Yeah,
for sure.
without a doubt.
Liam?
I'm kind of on the fence just because.
Well, you're young and stupid, so.
Well, I think it's a generational thing, though. Like I said, it's a generational thing. I grew up with playing with larger toys, so it's like I had M.A.S.K toys as a kid. And I didn't know what they were, and they were cool, but I didn't play with them as much as the larger action figures and the motorcycles that the Power Rangers had, and turtles, if you want to count the turtle figures or whatever.
I think turtles would be a larger scale. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it for vehicle and playset, but I just don't think that for adult collectors, I understand it, but for the younger kids, I don't think that they'd care as much.
Well, if they even play with toys.
Yeah, which a lot of them don't now. So.
I mean, yeah, let's be honest. The toy market is really directed at us and not necessarily kids anymore.
So maybe from that perspective, then yes. But if it's a company trying to market to younger kids, like what these were originally designed for when you guys were kids, then I'd say no. Doesn't make any sense.
I do think it's fair from either sides. I think that there are reasons. I can see both, and I think that this deserves, all the recognition.
Yeah, I'd love to see a modern line kind of try and redo some of this stuff, because I would love to have more play sets and more vehicles and things like that. Like, figures are cool. Like, I have tons and tons of figures, but I'd really like to see more expansive play sets and vehicles, like I was saying. And I think the best way to do that is with a smaller scale.
Could you imagine a modern Dino Riders?
I'd be.
Oh, dude, I would be into that so fast.
Yeah, I can't imagine how much those would cost.
They would be expensive. Yeah, dude, take out the electronics.
Yeah.
Nobody needs the electronics. Who cares? Hey, get on that. Are you listening? We need Dino Riders, people. We need Dino Riders. Get on it, Mattel.
All right, well, if you enjoy small scale figures, come by the store, check out our incredible selection. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell so you know when new videos come up. And then also make sure to leave us a comment. What do you think? Do you like this scale? Would you like to see more mini scale, smaller scale figures and play sets? Leave a comment and let us know.
Yeah.
And if you're a Mythic Legions fan, stay tuned to the channel. We might have something coming up that you might be interested in. So thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you guys in the store.
If you like what you saw, guys, please support us. Please comment, like, subscribe on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. We've been told many times that it's almost like a museum where you can buy things. That's one of the most wonderful compliments that we've received. Please come out, relive a childhood, or create a new one here at Second Chance Toys.